stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
Wish your Wi-Fi network would just work in any room? Our new Stellar Wi-Fi is AI assisted to give you the smoothest, fastest possible Wi-Fi throughout your home. Stellar Wi-Fi, assisted by AI, exclusive to Melita. Find out more in-store or online.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
We've got 2 more weeks of Belgian brilliance, and the first of which goes to a very, very difficult circuit, all about acceleration and maximizing the potential that is in front of you. It is Zolder today, and next week it is the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Championship implications in full force with the top 2 teammates in the championship, but a gap which has closed from over 100 points now down to a measly 54 as we head today to the penultimate round. My name's Shakespeare. I'm joined alongside by Kieran McGinley for your Assetto Corsa Competizione World Pro Racing Sprint Series with all of the trimmings available. 15 minutes of practice, 15 minutes of qualifying, 15-minute races, 2 of them just for added measure. And Kieran, Zolder today is one of those circuits which you look at on paper and go, this is going to be one for the accelerator fans who want to see quick accelerator, quick punchy cars going out there, and a lot of places where really you could say overtaking is possible.
Overtaking is possible, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Yes, it's great to be back for, as Jake put it beautifully there, Belgian brilliance for the next 2 weeks. Yes, first at Zolder, and Zolder has that huge history behind it, of course, and it is a great track to come to. Lots of drivers have been sort of edging this way and that. Is it going to be dry? Is it going to be wet? Well, we don't know until we get there. The point is, though, it's a great track. Obviously, takes a bit of mastery to actually get the right side of this track, of course, but I'm sure the drivers have been putting in all the hours to make sure that they get these lines absolutely right. It is a fast-flowing circuit, of course, but of course there are those couple of chicanes, Kleiner chicane, of course, and then the Villeneuve chicane before Terleimen as well. So very mixed track, need to get the setup absolutely right.
Absolutely, and we are here today racing on many different platforms, on YouTube, on Facebook Live, and on Twitch TV, as well as many, many more places, which include motorsport.tv, which include The Race, which include TVM Sports and ESTV, the Esports Television Network. And this is a Zolder track which many people have gone in to look for. As if you haven't already, you can like, you can share, and you can subscribe for more amazing content brought to you by World Pro Racing. This is a track which is built in to the idea of all about momentum, consistency, and opportunity. If you can master those 3 things, you have the big opportunity. If we have the ability to, I think we have this chance to just move over to see what the track is looking like at this moment in time and get a real understanding of exactly where we find ourselves at this point in time. And well, just take a little look at this, ladies and gentlemen. It is sodden with rain here at Zolder, which is going to make life doubly difficult because a track which is so dependent, Kieran, on acceleration now takes all of that away with the added influence of the weather.
Yeah, never a good sign when there's standing water in the gravel, is there? That's not a good sign. However, as you say, yes, the drivers are going to have to rethink all of their setups here to try and make sure they get that stability in this rain as they just try and make their way out there and get the feelers out, get a sense, get an idea of what this track is going to be like. Yes, they will have been trying their hardest in the dry, trying to get that perfect setup. How much time would they have spent practicing in these weather conditions, in the rain? Normally when you practice, you do it in the dry because that's the fastest possible way. You want to make sure that if the track conditions are really good, you want to make sure you're the quickest there, as Red One Messaoud clashes into the chicane there. That's the Kleiner chicane as he now makes his way on towards that Villeneuve chicane, slowing the car down. Of course, braking distances will be increased, and the tendency to try and put a little bit more aero on the car just to make sure you have a good enough amount of speed through these mid-speed corners. Well, it's going to be a compromise that these drivers might have to make.
And I'll tell you what's really interesting, just looking at this practice, look at the car composition that we have here today. Of course, drivers don't have to stick to a car brand for the entirety of the season, but 9 of the top 11 cars, as Luke Whitehead puts the car up onto original fastest time here in practice on a 1:32.1, 9 of the top 11 cars are Bentleys, Kieran. Why would they choose the Bentley here today?
Well, it's obvious, isn't it? Because they'll have put in that practice to try and see which of those cars is the fastest. And as you say, 9 out of the top 11 of these drivers clearly think the Bentley is the way to go, including that Jack Noller, currently 14th fastest in practice. But you've also got Dean Vella, Nicholas Hillebrand, who's down there in 17th place in practice so far, as well as Yassianis down there in 21st place, almost 3 seconds off the pace. Red One Messaoud finding the grass very early on, and there's no grip there whatsoever as he has to pull all the way in towards that gravel trap. So championship leader is being caught out in these conditions, but that's just a sense of how hard he's trying to push and how much he's trying to find the limits that this track possibly will give before it really bites you. Marcus Littlewood there going second fastest for that latest lap time.
I'll tell you what, this could really shake up the championship, especially when you've got these drivers all trying to fight out for these important places. Daniel Guinchard is there in third position in the PC Boys car, looking to try and get a career best in this championship over the course of this week, and that season finale, which will be coming up next week, looks more and more likely to be entertaining. But would you say as well here, Kieran, with the fact that drivers are all going to the Bentley, this is a very curb-heavy track, and the Bentley, I think, has one of the best balances when it goes to attacking over gradients?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you made there as well, Jake. It is that sort of car you go to if you're looking to try and really attack those curbs. As you say, it's a nice balanced car. It's very predictable where this Bentley is going to be, and especially in these tricky conditions, you want a car that's going to be predictable. You don't want a car that's maybe going to spin up those rear tyres a little bit too much there, as we get this fantastic shot here of up above the track, and you can just see how much it is tipping it down here. I mean, the drivers are going to have to adjust to this as well. We can just see that's going into Boulderberg, and we've already seen a car go straight on there a couple of seconds ago. So it's a really difficult corner. You're coming on from Terleman and on towards that little bit of a curved straight almost down towards Boulder. One of the heaviest braking zones on the track here, so it's very easy to be caught out. And these changing conditions, of course, I wonder if they're going to be with us for the long run. Well, you can see top right-hand corner, you can see rain is going to be with us for at least the next half an hour.
And the next half an hour tells you all you need to know. We're at in-sim time, 5:34 p.m, so I am expecting to see those headlamps go on for all of these vehicles, but let's go on board with the Onyx Esports driver Kalai Atkins here. Heavy over the Klein chicane, very easy to get it wrong. You'll see that car go airborne here as they jump up the hill through Butte here, this wonderful little left, and now the Gilles Villeneuve chicane, which opens up the Talarman complex here. The lefts and the rights can take a lot out of the first curb here. The limit's not as strict as other games that you can find out there that do hold Zolder, but now you attack out of Talarman and now over towards Boulderberg here. This brilliant right-hand hairpin, which is all about how late can you brake. It's 120 degrees. You're always trying to put the power down as early as possible because you're immediately thrown into that first of two chicanes. That's Jochen Rindt, and then what follows is Jackie X, the final chicane here. You've got to be very, very late on the brakes as we go picture in picture to have a little look at it. And this is just how slow sometimes you go to gear up for a lap. You're trying to attack the exit of the second part, and you've got this long run. Keep an eye on that those windmills there. They're on the other side of the canal that is there at turn 3 and turn 4. But this is Erst Corner, turn number 1, which literally means first corner as you go on through. And Kieran, what you find here about this opening section is that it's all about grip.
It really is, and in these treacherous conditions as well, grip is the one thing that you need, and you've got to try and rely and trust in the car to find the grip out there in these tricky conditions. As we now head in towards Lucien Bianchi, this fast right-hander, of course, in the dry, you'd be able to carry just a little bit more speed through there. It's a test of bravery at the best of times, this circuit, as we now head up towards the Klein chicane. Heavy braking, sometimes down into second, but you can see they're riding those curbs in second. Over we go in towards Sacrament Schelling, and then down the hill through Buta and towards the Villeneuve chicane, almost really getting full lock in there, trying to drag the car in towards Buta there, especially in these tricky conditions. You're going to need all the grip you can find, and then we make our way out of the Villeneuve chicane and on towards Terlemanbach and on towards then that Boulderberg hairpin, which is a very, very tricky braking zone to pick out in these tricky conditions.
It certainly is, and this is where you really need a lot of faith in what you have underneath you. This is a slow circuit by comparison as well. So that's going to bring in another set of worries here today for these drivers. And I think the biggest one of the lot here, Kieran, is how they're going to maintain tyre temperature on a cold track temp here today, only 19 degrees, and one which doesn't have really a high average speed.
Yeah, it is going to be tricky to make sure you keep those tyres in check there, as Kalai Atkins goes with a 132.6. Doesn't improve his position, but it does bring him within 0.03 of a second of Redouane Messaoud, who's there in the Ashtoir Racing Ferrari. Yes, it's going to be tricky to make sure that you get the tyre temperatures in, but this is where the drivers will have a fiddle around with the camber. How much does the car really sit on the tyres? How much of an angle are those tyres sat at? You might find that if you try and reduce or increase the camber, you can find a little bit more tyre temperature at the expense of tyre wear. Well, we're doing 15-minute races, so tyre wear might not be as much of an issue, especially in these wet weather conditions. The important thing is keep those tyres in temperature, because the less temperature you have, the less grip you have. I mean, it's not a case of going a bit faster, it's a case of going a lot faster. If you go a lot faster, you then get the grip. If you go a little bit faster, you won't have the grip and you'll come off the track.
Here's Redouane Messaoud, 4th position in the Ferrari, which is the second most populous car here today. There are 5 drivers in the Ferrari as we focus the Hillebrand in the NHR Racing Bentley right now, going into the Villeneuve chicane and through the Talaman complex here, looking to try and get out there and attack the second half of the lap. But the Ferrari is the second most populous car, with only 5 drivers taking to it. But really, that would have been an extension from a similar track to last week when we raced at Misano.
Yes, I think as well, there's no harm in trying a different car. I mean, you've got Vaffel there, Max Vaffel, who's in the Mercedes. You've also got Erbrich, who for the 3rd race this season, or I should say 3rd event, as we're going a little bit of battling in towards Jackie X. It's only practice, fellas. Let's calm it down a little bit. But Hillebrand now makes his way towards the line. Yeah, Max Vaffel in that Mercedes, Jan-Nicolas Erbrich in the Lexus. I mean, it's the 4th event that Jan-Nicolas has been in that Lexus. He didn't go with them at round 3, I believe, because he was concerned about the pace for the car. But he's back in the Lexus, of course. It's not a bad idea to go for a different car, not a bad idea to break the mold. It's worth trying something different and seeing if it sticks. If you're not in that championship hunt, if you're just looking to try and get some good performances on the board, yeah, rock the boat, try something different, because if it works, it's really going to pay off.
And what's more important as well is the last time that we had a wet weather race here in the Assetto Corsa Competizione World Pro Racing Sprint Championship. It was a Lexus Fest where we saw 6 of the top 7 do very well, and a certain Redouane Messaoud, in course to his first championship, struggled in the rain, and it's proving so again. He's down in 4th position, and he's half a second off here in practice, not finding the times altogether on the board, and that's maybe a little bit concerning. Now, here is the Odyssey Racing car. This is Christian Malsharek then, who is looking to try and put himself up as high as possible in this field. Had a really unlucky Misano, I think, did the Slovakian, and he'll be certainly looking to try and find some good times out there to push himself up to the very limit that he possibly has, as practice is just about to come to an end.
Yeah, he's got 17 points this series so far, which is, as you say, it's not representative of the pace we've seen Malsharek have so far this season. He has been unlucky, but every time he's been presented with an obstacle, he's managed to just keep pushing through and keep on trying to get as many points as possible. It's a good mentality to have when everything is really just not going in your favour, whether it be instance or whether it just be slight mistakes for Malsharek. It just hasn't been his series so far, but it's great to see him here. It's great to see that racing mentality where it's going wrong, but I'm going to stick it out anyway. There's still a chance to score some serious points. There's Vishal Patel enjoying himself out there as he made his way through Lucien Bianchi there. There is Jimmy Holm in the traditional, or I should say the conventional 777 AWE cars. That's Hillebrand. Whoa, that's a new way of taking that chicane. Can he keep it out of the wall there? I think he just about did. The momentum was taking him back towards the inside wall there. I think that was Sacrament Schelling, but hopefully he managed to recover in that Bentley. I think he was just having a little bit of fun. And that is something that the drivers will have to try and stop themselves from doing, is really kicking out that back end, having a lot of fun here. It's all about trying to make sure you keep your composure in these treacherous conditions.
And while treacherous conditions moves over to qualifying. And if you haven't already, you have the opportunity to join us with World Pro Racing. You can head over to worldproracing.com right now. If you do manage to do that, there are many events that are open to anybody at all, whether you are a complete beginner or you are someone who have been around the scene for a very long time in sim racing terms. There is a race for you out over there. But focus now turns to qualifying, and I think right now there will be a lot of people who will be looking up at the sky, hoping that they have maybe a passing in the clouds when they need to, but I'm very doubtful about that here today. So it's going to be clear that you need two things. One is track position, and the one thing that isn't really talked about is getting in close behind another driver so that their spray comes up over your screen, but crucially you have a drier track than the car in front of you.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting one as well. When you get that factor of the spray of the car ahead, it's going to be really, really something that needs to be addressed. We saw it last season at Silverstone at the very first round of the Sprint Series, how bad that spray actually was, especially if you were 5-6 cars in a battle for the midfield. It is going to be treacherous out there. The windscreen wipers are going to be working overload and overtime, and even then that might not be enough to clear the water off your windscreen, let alone clear off the spray that's really just collecting on the front of your screen. However, that's something the drivers are going to have to get used to if they qualify further down the order. It's all about, as you say, keeping your composure, get the good track position, try and nail the one and only real chance you can get out here. It's just such a short and narrow track. Traffic's going to be a big issue as well. So find yourself the space, get yourself a couple of laps in on the board, and see if you can make your way up the order as far as possible as a whole queue of cars make their way now in towards Boulderberg, as only one of them slightly missed the apex. Alex Johnston, it looks like, is going to be the first one to start a flying lap here as he makes his way now down towards Erst.
Yep, the first corner takes a narrow line here. Just struggles a little bit there with overcorrection on the exit, but able to get it now to Stevenbart here. The second corner, this one is Observatory Bend, which leads into Canal here, turn number 3. Always got to be careful about those puddles that do form on the outside of the racing line. It's very much one track that they'll be trying to run as much as possible, which will make life very interesting for the consistency points that are available in the championship. 5 points. That was Lucien Bianchi corner that they just went through. The the grand uncle, I think I could say, of the late Jules Bianchi, and that was the climb chicane up over the hill and down into the next left here of Boot, which leads all the way to the Villeneuve chicane. You're late on the brakes, first gear, and a very aggressive line, and there's a lot of correctional oversteer there, going through one of the slowest sections on the circuit before attacking again. And look at that again, opposite lock, going through there, the 7th corner there to Laumann, and that's going to put a lot of pressure here into Boulderberg corner. This time is evaporating over the course of this lap, just trying to keep a behemoth of a Bentley in a straight line. That was Jochen Rindt they just went through, or he just went through, and Alex Johnston here has one final corner here. This is the final chicane of Jackie X, and attacking it all the way to the line. Is this going to be a strong benchmark? We saw 31.2s as a real benchmark earlier on. That's a 33.4, littered with a couple of small mistakes. Whitehead should improve on that. Littlewood's found 0.8 of a second. Whitehead can only manage second on his opening lap.
Yeah, still a long way to go in this qualifying session, of course. As you can see, the in-sim time is currently 6:03 in the evening. And if you can see in the top right-hand corner as well, in half an hour's time, that rain is supposed to ease up. Now, that will take us roughly into the first race of tonight. So the drivers are going to have to be a bit wary about this one. I think for the foreseeable future in qualifying, they're going to have to cope with these conditions.
They certainly are, and of course you can't race for what's happening in 30 minutes. You can only race what's in front of you, as one of the Ferraris there in the background just runs a little bit wide. I think that was Mauscharek there who made the mistake, but Messaoud on pole position here by 0.2 of a second right now, can be incredibly happy with that opening lap, but these drivers are searching for grip levels, and this is one of the things with rain. It does take a couple laps to get those tyres up to temperature and put yourself in an attacking window. And what also isn't really talked about is that wet tyres are traditionally a little bit more chunkier, which means you have more tyre life to play with.
You do, and of course that means you can try and push them just a little bit harder, try and get the most performance out of them possible, because the tyres are a little bit more durable, therefore they can try and take it. There is Alex Johnston here trying to complete his second lap of qualifying. 33.4 it was his previous best. He now goes up to the second row of the grid, 32.5.
Not even second row, second position. Now it's second row because Littlewood has found more improvement. He's only 0.03 of a second back. Well, he was. Redouane Messaoud's just found another 0.4 of a second as the champion of last season and the championship leader tends to do. Find time when you need it. Calvin Herzl is there in 17th position, is the German right now, as likes of Revolt and Yassianus have jumped up positions. Only 3 drivers have yet to set times, and they are Muscat, Romanek and Atkins at this stage, as here comes the drive to the line for the Good Time Racing Mercedes, and this is only good enough to stay in 18th position. Not enough to gain time. 2.7 seconds adrift at the moment as Vathel tries to improve in his AMG Mercedes at this moment in time.
Yeah, making his way now through Jackie Hicks and now on towards the start-finish line. Where will he go to? He's P15 right now. Can he get his way up the order? He can, up to P12 with a 33.6 in the Team Cruising Missiles Mercedes in that number 67 car, as Messaoud on pole position right now by 0.4 of a second. Now, we were talking about, Jake, how the wet weather doesn't normally favour Redouane Messaoud, but obviously something's changed between now and the first round of the Sprint Series last season at Silverstone, because he's come alive. He's purple through Sector 1 and through Sector 3.
He's not just purple, he's purple by 1/10 of a second in Sector 1, and he is purple by 0.2 of a second in Sector 3. That tells you all you need to know, as Littlewood currently has the fastest middle sector of anybody, but it is Whitehead now back up into second position on a 132.2 out there on track. Muscat there up into 14th position, and for those who are wondering why qualifying, or think that qualifying is just something that's quite arbitrary and just decides the grid, there's 2 things to remember here, Kieran. One, for those who haven't really been here before, qualifying decides the grid for both races. You start in exactly the same position, race 1 and race 2. But more importantly than that, there are 10 championship points for the driver who puts it on pole position. And you would say, in a series which has been dominated by Ashtois cars, who have taken 100% of the pole positions this season, they're fighting for it all over again.
They really are, and those 10 points can be so crucial and so critical coming towards the end of a season. Yes, there's plenty of points up for grabs, but nothing better than trying to get 10 points to add to your championship tally, as we see there Reynard Rissard for the EuroRC.com Ferrari making his way now down towards Erstas. There's Nat Thomas there in the Omega E Racing Team Bentley, flying his way now all the way through Boot and now towards the Villeneuve chicane, and it's getting very crowded out there. I think that's Nat Thomas there, who doesn't actually have any headlights on, one of the outliers here, not willing to use his headlights just yet.
Just yet, and Matt Thomas had a little bit of an issue as we have a little look at some of the virtual fans who are watching us here today, and they look very much glued to the action, so glued they are not moving at this moment in time. But Matt Thomas, he struggled last time out. He struggled so much that his technical issues kept him out of both races at Misano, so he's got a lot of work to do to try and claw back any points that he may have lost by not being able to participate. You can see the back there struggling through the Jackie Hicks section then. It was almost like he was compression bouncing through that final section, and a 33.3 is not good enough then for improvement. We're down to 6.5 minutes out there in qualifying. Marcus Littlewood we focus on. He's the leading Bentley, and we've got Bentley's third all the way down to 11th place.
Yeah, it's quite astonishing, isn't it? With only the 2 Ferraris quicker than them so far, at least quicker than that pack. But yes, the top 13 is either a Bentley or a Ferrari. So it's quite astonishing to see. I have to say, though, Littlewood has been really on the pace so far tonight. He's in 11th place in the championship so far. He scored 35 points at round 2 and hasn't scored points at either rounds 1 or rounds 3. Those are consisting of 2 races, but he's currently 3rd fastest out there in qualifying. What a result it will be to have him this far up the order.
Yep, just gearing up then for a flying lap. We've got a couple drivers in the pits. You'll see a white
box which says P next to it here on the timing tower. That would suggest that they are in the pits and looking to try and get themselves maybe a little bit of top up of fuel, some tyres, and an opportunity to go out there and attack. Something that we haven't really talked about here as well is the fact that this is a very, very narrow circuit here today, especially in the back half of the track here. And so if there is an accident, it is very, very likely to spill back out onto the racing surface and collect more drivers involved.
It's so easy to get lulled into that false sense of security, especially early on in the race. But there you can see Malsharek there, only just slower than his own time by 9 thousandths of a second. Pretty consistent here from Malsharek, but he'll want to go even quicker. Alex Johnston here then making his way down towards Jackie X, backing off as much as he can to create that space ahead of him and also to really get the exit of this turn 10 section right and nailed. Through the apex we go and on towards that start-finish straight. He will start a brand new flying lap. There is Marcus Littlewood heading the second row of the grid so far, 0.429 seconds off. It's been a fantastic qualifying session from him so far, but there's still less than 4.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, and he's just backed off another lap. Here comes Jack Noller. He's in 7th position right now in the number 36 Bentley. He's trying to drive for the line. He moves up to 6th place then with that 32.787. So great work from him. He's now on to the 3rd row of the grid with Daniel Ginshar. There's Redwan Messaoud. He's gone even quicker. That's a 131.8. He's the first to break the barrier down, and he is on an island on his own right now. I think he was saving something, maybe trying race pace in practice, because Redwan Messaoud has just clicked with the Ferrari. He was in a Porsche in Silverstone the last time it rained, and he said that you try it yourself, it's almost impossible. Here in a Ferrari, a lot more comfort, a lot more ability, and right now he's nearly 4 tenths clear again.
Yeah, he just looks comfortable in that Ferrari, more comfortable than anybody else out on track as he now makes his way up towards Klein Chicane, getting right up and close and personal with that grass on the right-hand side to really open up the turn in there, so you can try and take a little bit more speed through. But Messaoud now in the Ashtois racing car looking to try and make it 3 race wins so far this season. Could make it 4 tonight if he's able to get it on the power there. In fact, it will be more than that because he won the first 2 events outright. First in the first 4 races, of course. 2 sprint races coming up later on tonight. Both of them will be 15 minutes. Both of the grids decided by this one sole qualifying session. So if you do make a mistake on a qualifying lap, if you don't get the best out of the car, with your starting in that position for both races.
Just under 3 minutes to go now here at Zolder. Drivers are allowed to start their final lap when the timer does expire. But what is worth talking about is the driver who's currently in 8th place at the moment, having a stellar qualifying at this stage, and that is Vishal Patel, who is in that 8th position, 1.2 seconds off the pace. Well, he was, because Romanek has just jumped up into 8th position, having a good run. He was one of the drivers, Romanek, promoted from the amateur division, because we've got an amateur division and a pro division going at exactly the same time. He was one of the drivers promoted from the amateur division, and he's trying to prove some more. Patel, though, having an absolutely wonderful driving qualifying right now, inside the top 10. Here is a driver who has struggled to qualify inside the top 20 this season.
Yeah, 7 points so far this season for Patel. So that tells you he has been struggling, but there are points to be had if you finish in the top 15. That's where Patel has really been in his races. But to be inside the top 10 right now with a really, really competitive field, this is going to be his best qualifying of the season if he can keep where he is right now in that P9. But there you can see Messaoud leading the way by nearly 4 tenths of a second, the only driver into the 1:31s, and as you can see, he's absolutely smashing the first and last sector. But it's Ginshard then, who in the second sector, 29.7, that's just about 2 tenths quicker than Messaoud. So that tells you that Messaoud could find even more time out there, and that the ultimate is down into the mid 1:31s.
Sheldon Muscat has just jumped up into 7th position in the number 14 Bentley. It drops Patel down into 10th, and outside of the top 10 now is Nat Thomas here, who just struggles a little bit there over the curbs of the Villeneuve chicane and through to Larman here, the big right-hander. And now you start wondering here, has anyone got anything in the final 50 seconds? Holm, Vaffel, and Parry will not improve on their times as Rassard jumps up to 22nd position overall. But Nat Thomas here, they're all going to be racing for one more lap at the line, because look at the weather in the top right hand of your screen. They don't know whether it's going to change now or if it's going to change in 10 minutes, and that rain is going to ease. The rain does ease up. They're in a much better position than anyone else, but it's still this heavy rain that is persisting over the circuit. And right now, Nat Thomas has just put a wonderful time in, jumps up into 4th position, and that's a wonderful bit of work in the final couple of moments to put a really big time down on the board. As we take a little look at some scenic shots, we're down to 5 seconds left in qualifying. Thomas jumps up then into 4th ahead of Littlewood and Johnston. Kalai Atkins there in 7th now with that jump over Jack Noller. Greenshah still in 6th, Johnston in 5th position, and there is Lucas Romanek trying to find some time more. The timer has expired. Sheldon Muscat maintains 9th place overall, but Romanek going through Boulderberg here is searching for that lap time. All of the top 8 are still out there on flying laps, looking to try and improve. Noller is across the line. He can only manage 8th place with his qualifying. Littlewood remains in 3rd place. These are all the drivers in front of Romanek, who is down in 10th. Messaoud has no improvement there in the number 1 car just in front. Here comes Romanek to the line. He's trying to improve. He remains in 10th place. But this is Luke Whitehead now up on screen for you. He's got time as he goes through that small little kink, which leads to the Boulderberg hairpin here. This long right-hander, all about putting the power down as early as you possibly can. And Whitehead now, with one final chicane, has one final chance to jump up a couple of places here and find the time he needs. Only Nat Thomas is out there on circuit as well, who can really challenge in the late run to the line. But here comes Luke Whitehead in the number 4 Ferrari. Has he found the improvement that he needs? Session ends with him not finding improvement over the line. So 1-2 once again here, Kieran, for Ashtoire. But the key is that Redwell Messaoud just put on another clinic in qualifying.
He did, and that's, of course, 10 points to his championship tally. That now takes him up to 253 points and still leading this championship by quite some margin. Now into the 60s is his point margin. However, we've still got 2 sprint races coming up, both of them worth exactly the same amount of points. A race win worth 35 points. You also get points for fastest lap of the race, most laps led, and something that we call most consistent, Jake. And that's something that's not worked out until we got all the results together towards the end of the night.
No, it certainly isn't. It's a number that's generated at the end of a racing session. It shows you how much you've been on the racing line, how consistent have you been with your lap times, and all of those different elements which conjures up a percentage grade, and that percentage grade normally finds itself between 95 and 99%. You'll see that 99% has been a number, Kieran, over the course of this season, which has been the winning number overall. So the worries are going to be for certain drivers out there today. Firstly, how well am I driving? Secondly, how much am I willing to go out there and search for grip on circuit when the natural racing line that you have out here today is going to be determined by what is a traditional racing line?
And that's going to be a key feature for most of these drivers, is trying to find the amount of grip out there and almost anticipating how much grip there'll be when you start to turn in. It's a very strange one. Some of them drivers can be quite relaxed and just say, well, look, if there's grip there, that's fine. I'll just take it how it comes. Some drivers will think, well, there will be grip there because there was grip there last time around. And in changeable conditions, that one's a bit of a risk, but that's the mentality. The latter one you find that's the quickest around the track. The only problem is it's more prone to you ending up in the gravel trap or onto the grass where there's just absolutely zero grip whatsoever. So it's going to be an interesting one. A narrow track with the walls not too far away around a damp and sodden track. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
I certainly am as well. And if you haven't already, you can like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content brought to you by World Pro Racing. There is so much that gets done and has a lot to be talked to and accomplished here with World Pro Racing. And I'm sure that everyone behind the scenes as well who's been working hard wants to make sure that they get themselves up to a level where they are happy with the way World Pro Racing is working as well.
But Kieran, you now start putting yourself into a picture and a position at this point, as you just see on screen here, all the teams who are trying to put things together here behind the scenes. But we are getting ready for that race. And the key, I think, is going to be surviving lap 1, because when you've got spray as well and visibility is low in the middle of the pack, so we just take a little look at the formation sequence there in picture, how important is it at this stage, Kieran, to really look and feel like you have the ability to go out there and race the way you want to on the opening lap?
It is going to be tricky. I mean, we've seen lap 1 before, especially at Misano. It can be very, very hectic, and that was just in the dry. I mean, we've got Erst here, which is quite a mid-speed left-hander in towards that first corner. So it encourages drivers to try and move up the inside. It tries to encourage drivers to go too wide through the corner, and it's really long corners. You've got Erst, you've got Sterenvagt, you've then got Canal, and then in towards Lucien Bianchi. All of them are long, medium-speed corners. It's not until you get towards the Klein chicane that really you have to start thinking about going one by one instead of going too wide through the corner. It's not a corner that you can go too wide side by side cleanly through. Yes, you can make an overtake there, but trying to hold a move around the outside or up the inside going to be very difficult. And
Absolutely.
Add a bit of sorry, just to interrupt you there. Add a bit of wet weather to that as well. Yeah, it's going to be a bit tricky out there.
It certainly is, and we are just about ready then to get ourselves into racing action as we take a little look at the back of the pack, and the front of the pack will be getting going in the next couple of seconds here for what is going to be the 7th round of the championship right now. 4 races to decide the season between those 2 silver Ferraris on the front. 15 minutes worth of racing then. It starts right around now as they get themselves off and going once more. Who's going to get the real run here into turn 1? Of course, it's number 1, Red One Messaoud, but you have to defend through 2 and 3 as well, as there's a few wiggles there in the middle. That's Nat Thomas struggling just a little bit. He'll fall back into line or try and hold the inside there at Observatory Bend, turn number 2 out on circuit. Messaoud's got the start he's wanted, but there's carnage about 10 back there as they go through. Look at the huge gap starting to form. There's been a huge spin.
Yeah, there has, and it's a real style of the wet weather. We've also got someone off in the gravel just in the background there. And that's number 31. That's Carly Atkins, who's found himself down the order and right in front of, I believe that was Rainer Rissar then, the number 690 pink Ferrari. Rissar did well there to avoid that one. Marcus Littlewood here, right, and being under pressure from Adam Johnston, and Nat Thomas as well, struggling on that first lap. He's dropped a couple of positions, dropped a bit of time as well. He finds himself now down into 5th place, but Messaoud leading the way so far.
Someone else in the gravel then at the Villeneuve chicane finds himself in a bit of trouble. It looks like it's one of the Lexus drivers who has found himself in trouble then in the early going. So I think that may be Jan-Nicholas Erbrich who has dropped down. There is Christian Mauscharek in the Ferrari. He's already up inside the top 10 and is absolutely flying forward on this opening lap. There have been a lot of gainers in these opening sections. Top 15 scored points, and there is Kalai Atkins pretty much using the muscle then of the Bentley to try and work a way through on Jimmy Holm in the Ferrari, and he's got to be so careful under brakes because he is a lot quicker than some of the rivals in front. Gets a tap on the inside by the Ferrari driver, and now he'll have to work through the teams here, try and get through. Here's another look, Mauscharek under pressure, and he's going to get shuffled out then by Vishal Patel, who dived for the inside, got the move done, and here comes Revox in the other Lexus out there right now. What a start Tom Revox has had. He tries to go around the outside of 2, he'll have to hold it here for turn 3, try and make sure that he can get himself the opportunity into 4, but 3 right-handers in a row says the Ferrari holds place.
Yeah, and he's still trying to make a move round the outside. Is Patel right on the back of Mauscharek then as we make our way now up to, sorry, that's Revox there, up towards, once again towards Klein, and there you can see Revox just having a look up the inside, putting Mauscharek under a little bit of pressure there as we get to Mare over that little bit of a chicane. Meanwhile, Nat Thomas then under pressure from Ginchard. He's also trying to put some pressure on Adam Johnston right up ahead. Littlewood then trying to extend the gap as well as he looks to try and run away with this 3rd place. A bit of a tank slapper there. We've got a Ferrari also having a bit of a moment further back as we see there Ginchard really pushing the limits. And if there's a Bentley in your rearview mirror, it is a very intimidating car, even if you have a Bentley right now.
Exactly, and that's going to be a little bit worrying. Here's Vela up to 13th, trying to muscle past Max Vaffel out on track, and he manages it. Now it's time for, I believe that's Yacianis, try and make a move here. The Lithuanian driver on the brakes down the inside, picking up. Oh, dramas. 1, 2, 3, all in the gravel at the final chicane there. Looks like Hosel there potentially has been caught up in that one in the 101. He has. So the 54 of Vela in trouble. And there was a fourth driver then in issues, but Kalai Atkins now gets himself into a point. There's your race lead right now. Messoud leads, Whitehead second, and Littlewood in third. Littlewood has not fallen off of the back aggressively here to Luke Whitehead and co, as now Mikael Parry holding now 15th position as he drops back, and this is Jimmy Holm trying to go around the outside and making it happen as well in the wet.
Yeah, nice move from Jimmy Holm there, as that was Rassar looking to try and take advantage of that one as well, but couldn't quite get the power down, couldn't quite find a move up the inside that he wanted. You can see that pink Ferrari always looking intimidating in the rear view mirror. You are not going to miss that car at all right there, and Mikael Parry now makes his way through the Klein chicane on towards Sacrament Schelling, and then over we go towards Boot and towards the Villeneuve chicane. But Parry then just outside of the points now. Jimmy Holm makes his way inside the points now, 15th place of course being worth a single point in the sprint race. But Rassar, well, he's not going anywhere anytime soon, and of course Carly Atkins did pull across as he went to rejoin the track after that lap 1 incident right into the path of the pink Ferrari, and Rassar did well to put the anchors on, and he's all the way now in towards 17th place and looking to try and get some points on the board. There's Nat Thomas, who's under pressure from Guinchard as we head down the start finish straight.
Well, this is where the move could happen, and you'll think about the inside here. Will Guinchard late on the brakes, then on the inside, off of the circuit, gets a tap from the what is the number 7 behind, and just about holds onto it. So well worked then, and the positions do change. Guinchard up now into the top 5, and Nat Thomas drops down into 6th position overall. And look at the Bentleys behind. You got Nola and Muscat, the 2 of the RPM Omega cars then just behind, and then on top of that you got Romanek there just sitting and waiting. It's a Bentley bus, I think is the right way to say at this moment in time, and it all starts at Nat Thomas.
It really does, but that was a nice move from Guinchard, then took the inside line and really gave no option either to Thomas. It was either, make the contact or back out of it, and Thomas decided he wanted to try and stick the nose up there and see if he can intimidate, but in the end he had to cede the position. Hurzel, meanwhile, is under pressure from Dean Vella as we now make our way in towards the Klein chicane. He's followed closely by Vaffel, by Erbrick, and Yacianis right behind. Legreston has not had a great start. He's all the way down into 25th place and really finding it hard in these conditions. Meanwhile, there's the Lexus right behind. I think that's Jan-Nicholas Erbrick. Gets a move up the inside. He does. A move ahead of Max Vaffel and now up into P22. His next target will be Dean Vella, who's the car we're following right now as we make our way all the way towards the next series of corners.
Yep, and now Dean Vella will be thinking about that next move on Hurzel here for 20th position. He's been sat behind for a very long time, and one of the things they'll be looking at is, well, how much damage do we have? Because Hurzel is immediately going defensive here on what is a relatively short run to the Jackie Ick chicane, and unable to make things happen is the way it looks at the moment. Look at the weather, though. The rain is easing compared to how it was in qualifying, but crucially, this track is still wet out there as we focus on this battle right down at the back of the field. It looks like it's one of the closer actions out on track, with Kalai Atkins and Daniel Stramer looking like they're pretty close as well, 14th and 13th place. But what's key is that this is going to be a tough second half of the race, because they are still half trying to adjust to what are slowly drying conditions in comparison to a track which was absolutely sopping about 15-20 minutes ago.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it's just trying to find the right line out there every single lap. Lap after lap, the track is going to be different to when you went through it last time around, and Hurzel there really taking the bumps there through in towards the Klein chicane, and that's an invitation for Dean Vella to go round the outside in towards Boot. Then will he have the inside line going in towards the Villeneuve chicane? He will. They make contact though, and his car is unsettled. He's having to try and get the car back under control. That could cost him a position to Max Vaffel if it hasn't already. We'll see what car comes around the corner. It is still the Bentley of Dean Vella, so he's managed to hold on to that position. But that's what happens when you make the contact with the side there. It can just as easily unsettle your car, and Dean Vella there lucky to keep a hold of that one and keep a hold of his position.
Yep, and we've got battles up and down the order here in this field, as the final chicane is just proven right now as they all go through that static shot there, picture in picture. But if possible, it's eyes forward at the moment. This is Parry fighting for 16th place. He's got Rassar on the inside and trying to poke a nose in here as Nico Hillebrand in the white Bentley.
No.
Contact and round goes. Rassar there, that's just a case of being unable to pull it up then in that very tough Bentley. And when you've got all that weight that the Bentley has, it's a very, very brick-built car, I think is the right way to say it. It is very tough to stop at the best of times.
Oh, it really is, as we're seeing here. Cars trying to find some space out there, just trying to find an inside line. There's Revox there, who's really having to look in the rear view mirrors at Carly Atkins. He's now looking to go round the outside, of course, in towards Boot. Then that'll give him an inside corner, an inside line in towards Villeneuve, but we've seen this before just about 30 seconds ago. Carly Atkins has to back out of it, but will he try and get the exit here as we now head our way in towards Terlamenbach? As now we make our way through that right-hander, onwards we go. Then we will have a drive-through penalty for the number 299. That's Jan Nicholas Erbrick. That's an incident between himself and the number 52 of Legreston. That's for a drive-through for causing an avoidable incident. That's just come through now from the stewards.
And we've just seen as well Stramer drop a place. That's probably due to cutting the track too much, getting a cut track penalty. Of course, that means you have to slow down and give up the time that you gained from gaining an unfair advantage by being too aggressive over the curbs. And just like that, troubles. Now look at this. Hard to the left-hand side, to the grandstand wall, goes Tom Revox at the Tech 1 racing car. We haven't focused too much at the front. It's on for 4th and 5th place. Revox has just run wide, though, and he's going to lose the back end and spin around. We just cut away at the wrong time. But Alex Johnson there is in 4th position. Revox has got it still going, but he's now going to drop to 15th place behind Daniel Stramer. He is now holding 1 championship point in the position he is in at the moment. But at the moment, it is 4th and 5th where the big battle is at the moment here between Johnson and Queen Shah to go on board with Tom Revox as he looks to try and get himself back through the field with just 4 minutes 45 seconds to work with.
I was thinking there, Revox then losing that back end, of course. I did wonder about whether Jimmy Hall would make it through. It looks like he has made it through and gained a position, of course. Stramer, the beneficiary in that one as well. He's now up into P14, but that's the battle then for 13th place. Jimmy Holm leading them through as now they make their way through. Stramer 14th and Revox now holding on to the last points paying position as the conditions here obviously aren't as bad as they were in qualifying, but still pretty bad to cause an issue. There's Redwan Messaoud, who leads the way and is on to start the next lap of this race then. Just over 4 minutes left on the clock, and it's around 2 seconds between himself and his Ashtois Racing teammate Luke Whitehead. Should make it perfectly clear that although we say that drivers are part of the same team, there is no team's championship. So it's just a driver-only event. It is every driver for themselves. So Messaoud and Whitehead, although being part of the same team, are of course rivals.
They certainly are. Look at Alex Johnston then in 4th position. You've got Daniel Greenshah just behind, who wants to try and gain that place. It is Bentley versus Bentley as they go on through and look to attack through towards the Klein chicane, this very tough section where you do have to jump over the curbs to be the most aggressive. It's on behind as well, because it looks like Nat Thomas has got Jack Noller for a bit of company also. So we got those two battles going on at exactly the same time, and this is where things get awkward in the final stage. It's got 3 minutes to figure things out right now, and you can see just sliding through the corners is the Bentley, trying to maintain an element of flow through this track. And well, just like the water that flows around this circuit right now, this is going to be a very, very tough end to the race if you're still having to fight for positions throughout the entirety of 15 minutes.
It really is, and it does take a toll on you as well, trying to keep this car on the track. Their concentration levels are absolutely through the roof, and Guinchard here once away past Johnson. You see there, Johnson trying to break the little bit of a toe that Guinchard could get as we now make our way in towards the final chicane at Jackie Hicks, and now on towards the start-finish straight. Johnson here really has to be checking his rear view mirrors, as you can see, once again, moving left and right over the track there. Now, of course, you are allowed to make a move like that, as we now make our way in towards Erst, and now onwards we go towards Sterrenwacht. And you can see there Johnston just holding true in P4 at the moment. Ginchard, though, wants that position, as you can see there, trying to put some sort of, trying to make sure he knows he's there, maybe trying to put a little bit of intimidation tactics on, which, of course, in a Bentley is much easier to do than any other car.
It certainly is, and now you're starting to see where Alex Johnston finds himself here. He's looking behind in the mirrors. He is only 1.4 seconds off of Marcus Littlewood there in third, as that's down in the pits. I believe Jan-Nicolas Erbrich, whose race is pretty much all but over at this stage with 1:45 left on the clock. We are starting to see a little bit of lap traffic as well for the leaders, so they'll have that in the back of the mind. But Jack Noller here, looking at their 7th position. He was looking to attack Nat Thomas just a few moments ago, as there will be 1 or 2 laps, depending right now on when Redouane Messaoud crosses the start-finish line. But crucially, Noller here, Kieran, very quickly, under pressure from Romanek when he was attacking earlier on.
I have to say, Romanek is having a great race so far, and he's got 7th place here. He could have it, but he's got to try and find a way past Jack Noller. We know Jack Noller is not an easy driver to overtake. He will wear his heart on his sleeve. He will try and finish in whatever position he will, and he'll try and defend his way there. He's also got Nat Thomas ahead, 1.2 seconds up the road, still a chance, but he's really going to have to look in his rear view mirrors at Romanek, who's on a charge at this moment in time. Well, who else is on a charge is Ginchard, right on the back of Johnston. Then as we now make our way all the way through, Johnston's going to have to be careful. That lack of grip in these wet weather conditions is really costing Johnston here. He's got to be careful about Ginchard, who's looking for a move up the inside in towards Lucien Bianchi. No way through so far.
It's a very tough corner there, turn 4, to go and make a move, and you're hoping that you've got the attack here at 5, and here comes the move. Thoughts of the inside, just tries to make that Bentley the widest one here in the Belgian Ardennes, and that's a huge attack over those curbs, and that might be a chance. Vishal Patel is also under pressure here. That's Mauschrek, and behind Kalai Atkins, who still has a chance of a top 10. Side-by-side contacts, they go through, not once, but twice. He's going to go straight across the circuit. He just about holds it. Ginchard has a drive-through penalty that is going to come through on the board. We'll get confirmation of why that is in the next moment, but the timer expires here in session for Redouane Messaoud. This is the last lap of the race, and he has just driven away from his main rival without too much concern. There's advantage Redouane Messaoud once again. And, well, you talk momentum through tracks. When it's raining like this, Redouane has found himself with everything that he has possibly needed to the line. And with his 5th race win of the season, Redouane Messaoud is ever closer to title contention. Whitehead second, Littlewood third. And because it's so late for that drive-through penalty, Ginchard is going to come down in and serve it, but he's not going to be able to serve it in time. And because of that, he's still going to take 30 seconds worth of penalty. So he's cost himself a whole heck of a lot more time there going on forward then, Kieran. As he finishes, it turns to a 30-second penalty added on at the end.
Yeah, and that's part of the rules there, of course. If you have no time to serve the drive-through penalty, if you get it in the last few laps, you can just take the 30-second time penalty at the end. Meanwhile, we've still got racing out there. Rizzo here is under pressure from the Bentley of Yassianas. This may be a battle for P19, but it will be as hard fought as any other battle on the track. Then we see cars coming across the line. Can Yassianas get the move? No, he can't. Rizzo just about holds on to 19th place then. But of course, it is Messaoud who wins race number 1 here in event 4. Luke Whitehead second, Littlewood in third, Johnston 4th, Thomas in 5th, with Jack Noller in 6th place, and Romanek there doing really well, helped by a penalty of course, but that's his best so far this series, 7th place. What a drive from him, and what a race we had. It's really interesting to see how much these drivers really do struggle in these conditions. Muscat in 8th with Ginchard 9th, Mauschrek in 10th, Atkins recovers to 11th, Patel in 12th, Holman 13th, Stromae 14th, and Revox rounding off the top 15 there. We will try and confirm the fastest lap of the race, but it's always an encouraging sign when you're the race leader and you get little to no coverage whatsoever. It means it was a very uneventful race, and for Redouane Messaoud, when he's leading the race, that's exactly what he wants.
The greatest compliment any driver can have is no cameras on him. That would tell you that your race is absolutely fantastic. There's no reason to go and look at you because you are driving in such a dominating fashion. But there is another race that will be coming up. It will be the second race of the 2 that we have for you, and it's going to be shown here on all the platforms available on YouTube, Facebook Live, and on Twitch, as well as ESTV
on the race on motorsport.tv, and as well as that on TVM Sport as well. We're going to step aside, though, for one moment here with World Pro Racing and the World Pro Racing Assetto Corsa Competizione Sprint Series, and we'll be back with the second race of 2 after this.
This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Pro Racing Assetto Corsa Competizione Sprint Series. €500, all packaged together in a prize pool, but we are getting ourselves ready for racing action in the next couple of moments. The second race then of two this evening, and they get themselves ready for their mini pace formation. Of course, next week, I should say, the final rounds will be coming up from the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. Redouane Messaoud wants to make sure that once again, for the fourth consecutive week, it is a double as they pick up results, but no guarantees. It's a long wait to that start-finish line as they will hold their pace and wait to get going. Can Whitehead find anything? It's Jake Sperry here alongside with Mr. Kieran McGinley as we get ourselves underway, immediately switching from Johnson then on the third row of the grid, trying to cover off Ginshar. But look at this around the outside. Great attempt by Luke Whitehead, trying to get aggressive early against Redouane Messaoud, and he sneaks up the inside then at Sterenvacht and puts himself up into second position overall. And there you can see behind that's Atkins trying to find position as well, up into fifth place off of the start. But crucially, Whitehead has got the jump he wants.
Yeah, very, very nice start there from Luke Whitehead. He's got the start he dreamed of there. Now leads the way ahead of Messaoud. Then Littlewood then in third as we see the Bentleys marching their way now on towards the Kleiner chicane. Oh, that's Ginshard around there, and someone else involved in it as well. He's dropping all the way down the order then. We've got cars all over the place. It's a mess at the Klein chicane, but somehow everyone making it all the way through. Ginshard was one of the cars there involved, and that's going to free up some positions then as we see that's two Bentleys going side by side in the background. I think that was Nola being one of them as well, but we see there Marcus Littlewood seeing now, trying to put some... Oh, we got a contact as well. Jack Nola is hit from the bar behind, from the right-hand quarter panel, and he's spun all the way there and has to drop all the way. That could be outside of the points then. A Ferrari going up the inside. That's Malsharek having a look up the inside. Jimmy Holm doing the same. The two Ferraris looking for inside moves there, but a very, very hectic first lap.
Certainly has been. Kalai Atkins getting involved then. It seemed like Ginshar and Vishal Patel came together, and the Ferrari getting almost out-muscled under the brakes then as Sheldon Muscat finds himself in ninth. There looks like there's a big accident there heading into that final chicane that we just caught then on our picture-in-picture cameras. Looks like it is Jack Noller again, potentially, that is around in the Bentley. So big dramas then here in the early goings. Jack Noller has had an absolutely atrocious start to this race, but look at how late it is. It's 8:06 p.m. Everyone has the lights on. Everyone is desperate to see at this moment in time, and they are all trying to make sure that they can find their way through the rain. Whitehead leads. It's Messaoud in second, and crucially, it is Nat Thomas up into third place as we look at the battle for 8th place.
Yeah, we do indeed, and a good thing to note here, in that top right-hand corner, you can see the rain is easing off and the track is starting to dry up. It's still damp out there. It's still enough for these wet weather tyres, but it's going to be making the drivers think about how much grip there actually is out there. Dean Vella holding off Ginshard right now, who's had an awful start, of course, down at the Klein chicane just a lap ago. Yeah, just to give a context there, Jack Noller finds himself around going towards, I believe it was Jackie Hicks, the final chicane. He found himself really side on onto that back stretch there before the final chicane and just hit into, I think, by Revox there, who had absolutely nowhere to go. That's heavy damage to both cars. I would be surprised if we see them back out here, but you never know.
You never know. That's three drivers all in the pits together then, out in the early stages. Legraxton and Revox also down in the pits as well. But Malsharek's holding back the tide. As also earlier on, I believe it was two teammates who ran into troubles. That was Vishal Patel and Daniel Ginshar. Hillerbrand having to defend late then against Jan-Nicholas Erbrich in 11th position as we focus on Dean Vella there in 12th in the number 54 GT Omega RPM Esports Bentley, with Ginshar there in 13th trying to get back through. Leaves the door half ajar through turn 2, but you can get away with that a little bit here through 3 by putting the power down as much as possible. Another little look then, trying to find the move again, and Malsharek again defends nicely, but that's Hillerbrand just finding a couple tyres in the gravel, and it doesn't matter what you find, put 2 tyres in the gravel, you're under pressure, and they go 3 wide, trying to get to the Klein chicane. 1 doesn't normally work through here, but they managed to get it through 2, and Vela has to lose out, and there goes Hillebrand around for a spin.
Yeah, 3 wide through there doesn't work at the best of times in dry weather, in perfect weather conditions. Sometimes 1 wide through there doesn't really work. But yeah, I mean, ambitious from Hillebrand there to try and make that stick. But he's found himself in a spot of bother, finds himself around onto the gravel and falls once again towards the back end of the field. We'll have to wait and see. There's only 10.5 minutes left on the clock. It's a huge ask to really recover after something like that. But Dean Vela there, 12th place so far. Nat Thomas on the podium right now. He's found a way past Littlewood here. But Littlewood has been in great form here today so far. He really wants to get some great points on the board. You can see, though, the battle for the lead. Whitehead is clearly feeling that Ferrari Ashtoir racing car of Red One Messaoud right behind. He's not going away anytime soon. Less than 0.6 of a second separate our 2 leaders. It's Nat Thomas 3rd, Littlewood in 4th, Johnston in 5th. Carly Atkins has had a better start. He's in 6th place right now. Romanek in 7th, Malshrek in 8th, Muscat in 9th, Erbrick in 10th, Ginchard in 11th, Dean Vela 12th, Holman 13th, Stromae 14th, and Yassianus rounding off the top 15 with Jan Nicholas Erbrick here feeling the presence of Ginchard.
Certainly is. Ginchard is really motoring through this one, wants to get back inside the top 10. Worth noting that I think Messaoud and Whitehead are pulling away and trying to work together a little bit so they can attack later down the road in this one. But Erbrick here at the moment finds himself in that 10th position. But look at the drive that Bentley gets out of this section. It's been so good, this Bentley, in the middle sector. This is where it's the most aggressive. And is there a chance potentially on the brakes? The answer is still no. Not going to be able to find that. But the Lexus has been the wet weather car of choice over the first season. But now, what can Erbrick do to hold on to that 10th place? And remember, he's got nothing to lose in terms of this race going on because he lost absolutely everything in the opening race of the night.
He did indeed, and what's more as well is that Ginchard starting this night was 4th place in the championship. He's looking to try and get his way up the order as quickly as he possibly can, recover as many points as he can there as Erbrick tries to take the racing line away from Ginchard. He's successful in doing that, in towards Jackie Hicks and now on towards the start-finish straight once again as we've got multiple cars in the pit lane. Revox back in, Patel also in the pits as well as we see cars making their way down towards Erst here, and Erbrick is feeling that pressure from Ginchard. His rear view mirror all full of Bentley there. There goes Ginchard though down the inside. Can he slow that car down in time? Opposite lock as he went through there, and as quickly as he had that position, he lost it once again.
That's called overcommitment. The eyes were bigger than the belly, and the position not there at turn 2, the observatory corner. And there's some dramas here because that is both Littlewood then and Johnston effectively skipping across the chicane then, trying to get themselves in the battle. They played a game of chicken with each other. I think both of them drove off the proverbial cliff there. So now you start wondering here for Marcus Littlewood and also Adam Johnston there. They are both, Alex Johnston I should say, they are both in a position where they have to be a little bit cautious about how much they go out there and attack because they're allowing Kalai Atkins back into the mix. He's there under a second now, the gap.
Yeah, it's all about that overtaking conundrum. Yes, you can try and close in. Yes, you can try and get a position and a move on the driver ahead, but you're encouraging and, well, actually letting the driver behind you catch up. The more you battle and the more aggressively you battle and you don't get the move done, there's more chance of the car behind closing that gap up. You could be finding that your rear view mirror, the car in it, gets bigger and bigger lap by lap. But Whitehead and Messaoud are not waiting till the end of this race. They're waiting just past the halfway mark. Messaoud is right and willing to try and get this move done. Whitehead having to defend the inside of Sterenvagt. He's just about got that one done. Can Messaoud get the power down as we now make our way through Canal, and Whitehead just about holding on for now?
For now is the big important word. They've got themselves under 7 minutes now. They're into the second half of the race. Look at Messaoud wrestle against the car. Still gains an advantage here. Moves to the outside. Now, how much room will Whitehead give Messaoud here into the Klein chicane? You know what? He'll just power around the outside. Oh, the two rivals come together. Two teammates come together in the gravel. Thomas is now going to go around both of them and take the race lead. Watch the Bentleys now will try and form a way through. Messaoud is crucially ahead here of Whitehead as they jam on the brakes. But this is where it gets messy here. Messaoud in a bit of trouble then as he goes through. Just about able to hold on to it there in second position. But that is the one moment that they both didn't hope they were going to find in. Nat Thomas leads.
Well, rule 1 of motorsport, never crash into your teammate. The very first rule you learn, and Whitehead there taps the back of Messaoud. Nat Thomas comes in, and if there's a better way to describe that, a swarm of Bentleys descended on the Ferraris, the Astral racing cars. Bit of drama in the background as Luke Whitehead tries to make his way back through the order, but he's all over the back of Littlewood and Johnston as they now make their way in towards that final chicane. Nat Thomas leads the way though. Messaoud, this will wake him up. This will make him go for a move down the inside. In fact, look at this. He's looking for a move down the inside towards Erst there. Not quite close enough, but look at that. Whitehead right behind. Johnston is looking for a move up the inside in towards Erst. Then can he get the move done? Yes, he can. Whitehead loses another position. He's all the way now down in towards 6th place. If he can try and find a way past in towards Sterenvacht. But at the moment, Nat Thomas leads the way. That's not something I don't think he was expecting.
No, and you've got to say that the stewards will be having a big keen eye on this. Look at Alex Johnston here in what is 5th position. He is still holding off what is Whitehead right now, and that is Kalai Atkins as well, up then in a couple of positions. So they are all changing places right now, and Whitehead's in fact down to 6th because he's lost time to Johnston. But look at the run then there by Red One Messaoud. He nearly had the outside through Boots corner and into the brakes at the Villeneuve chicane. He'll try the outside to angle to the inside, but how much room can you give through this section? He's going to get better drive then off the exit here on the outside, and he's going to take the race lead, and Littlewood is unable to follow then in the final 5 minutes. But look at how much they held each other up through that chicane. Kalai Atkins now on the back. Littlewood's going to think about the inside here at the Boulderberg hairpin, and he's not going to quite find it. Messaoud leads, and now he's got to run because his main rival is in P6, and there could be words from the stewards.
Well, absolutely. We'll see how they resolve that one. Meanwhile, though, Messaoud retakes the lead of this race with just over 4 minutes to go. Nat Thomas in 2nd place, but Littlewood is all over the back of him now as they make their way down the start-finish straight. Can Littlewood try and find a way past as we make our way towards Erst? He's going to have to go the long way round. No, Nat Thomas covers that one off as well, as that is the racing line heading our way in towards Erst. It's Carly Atkins there in 4th place with Johnston 5th, Whitehead 6th, Romanek in 7th. Malushek in 8th place, who's just been awarded a 5-second time penalty, so hopefully we'll be able to clarify what that is later on down the line, but he'll have to serve that at some point in this race. Yassinas there, 14th place. Max Vaffel is right behind in 15th. Battle for 14th. 2 points on the line here as there's 3 cars involved. Yassinas, Vaffel and Rossard. There is Jan-Nicholas Erbrich looking to try and make a move when it counts, but really getting really close together as we head our way in towards Canal.
Whitehead's limping here in 6th position. He is really struggling home, and I wonder how much the damage has hurt him there, with Messaoud going for that big around the outside move. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, all together right now in a line. 4 Bentleys, 2 places on the podium. You got on the outside looking Kalai Atkins, but there goes the move then. Marcus Littlewood down the inside at Talarman, trying to get himself the chance, then heavily defended by Thomas then towards Boulderberg, and the outside line given, and there's the contact then as they're all going to go skittling off then into the grass. Who's going to keep themselves in line? And suddenly Johnston's going to go from 5th to 3rd in the space of 1 corner then. Kalai Atkins and I believe Nat Thomas are the big losers in that one. They still remain side by side as they go through, but crucially it is now Marcus Littlewood up to 3rd, and that was a case of everyone descending trying to find a line, and ultimately not enough slots there in the road.
And poor Carly Atkins there had absolutely nowhere to go. He had to be caught up in that one, but he will sort of live to fight another day in this battle, so it's not all lost yet. But Marcus Littlewood then really taking advantage of that one in 2nd place right now. He was the one that originally lost that back end that sort of led to that scenario, but of course there'll be more that meets the eye to that incident for sure. What that's allowed, whoever's happened there, is that Messaoud has extended his lead to 2.4 seconds, so he's really running away with this one now, with all the cars battling behind him, all of them Bentleys, and as you said there, Whitehead is limping home here, 6th place and unable to challenge right now. He's pulling back in this gap because of the Bentleys that are battling up ahead. They're costing each other a mountain of time.
The Bentley battle bus in full flow. At this stage, they hit the brakes. They will have themselves 1 lap to go. The next time they cross the line, your race leader, once again, Red One Messaoud. Kalai Atkins thinking about to move there on the inside, on the exit of the Talarman complex there, as they now look to attack over this small left-hand bend, which is unnamed, and on the brakes into Boulderberg, and they have allowed Whitehead on the back, and crucially, they've allowed Romanek as well. jump back. The Polish driver then, who was amateur at the start of this season, is now on the rear of these drivers as well. They can't afford to have anything. It has started to just space out a little bit, but now everyone is going to be aggressive on this final lap of the race. There is Luke Whitehead at the moment. He is thinking about his next position, and he needs everything he can possibly get because he doesn't know what the stewards are going to be saying or doing when it comes to championship points come the end. So we'll keep an eye out on that. But Whitehead in P6, that would be probably the last thing that he'll be wanting to think about, because he knows then he'll be relying on retirement next week at Spa-Francorchamps for Redouane Messaoud. It very nearly ended in complete catastrophe for those two drivers who ignored Rule 1 of motorsport and Rule 1 of sim racing. Don't hit your teammate. The second rule is don't hit your teammate, but you say it even louder. But Redouane Messaoud in control, nursing the car now towards the end of this race, because he knows he's got a gap and he just wants to, quote-unquote, get out of Dodge at this moment in time. Dean Vella still fighting it out for 9th place here. Ginshire has got through, but now he's under pressure for 10th now, as this is Stromae, two teammates going at it together. Stromae around the outside is going to pick up the place then and jump up into the 9th position. And suddenly, there is Sheldon Muscat as well. All the Omega Esports drivers then having themselves a big battle. Vella's going to go far too deep, and he is going to go skating across the gravel, and he is going to be on slow down penalty mode, try and get himself through. Redouane Messaoud, though, at the front of the field, has one chicane to go, and this is probably the most combustible point of the season. They are new teammates with each other. That's the one thing they'll look at and maybe have a talk back when they get to the paddock. Redouane Messaoud will come to the line, and he will take his 6th win and the 3rd double of this season.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant there. It wasn't easy for him, was it? But Messaoud didn't care. Gets his, another win on the board there for the Frenchman. Really, really good race for him in the end. Littlewood in 2nd, then Johnston 3rd, with Thomas in 4th, Atkins in 5th, Whitehead all the way now down to 6th place, with Romanek in 7th, Kinshard in 8th, Muscat in 9th, and Stromae in 10th, Vella in 11th, Holm in 12th, Mauscharek with 5 seconds worth of penalties, 13th. He will drop down the order, but that's it right now. Erbrick in 14th, and Yassianas will grab some points there. Rassar will get a 30-second time penalty. Now, that was originally a drive-through. That will be added to the end of his race timer, so the positions will shuffle towards the back end of the points there. But, well, it's been an explosive battle, that's for sure, in that second race, just for the lead and also for that 2nd place. Well worthy of a really good fireworks display. And what set of fireworks was set off between these 4-5 Bentleys there, a swarm of them, all looking to take advantage, and one of them had to get it. Marcus Littlewood, 2nd place in this race provisionally, and it's been a really, really good day for him.
Same for Alex Johnston as well in 3rd position. Those Omega E-Racing cars then have found themselves with wonderful, wonderful drives, and to have 2 of them up there on the podium, they have every reason to be excited and happy about the way they have conducted themselves here at Zolder today. There is the race winner back-to-back for Redouane Messaoud, and it's a return to the top step of the podium. What we can do at this stage is say, Kieran, that this has pretty much just set up a really big catalyst heading over towards racing that we have 1 week from now at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. The big key, though, is it's Redouane Messaoud who has come out massively on top here with this one by the fact that his main rival today finished in P6, only picked up about 10 points.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing as well. The one thing you really don't want to do in a championship battle is rely on outlying factors. That outlying factor for Luke Whitehead right now is going to be Messaoud not having a good day at the office. And he's just shown us here that even if he does get involved in a slight incident, he can still recover and still put in a really good set of points for his tally. So it is going to be tough for Luke, but there's only one way to find out how it's going to go down, and that's by going to Spa next week.
We might actually be in a position where we can crown champion. It's going to be very close. It's going to be determined on maybe a couple of bonus points here and there. But we do have Redouane Messaoud here with us right now. And Redouane, that second race and that bit of contact with your teammate is one that I'm sure we are definitely going to have a little bit of a talk about. Just take us through your perspective as you try to go around the outside of him.
I'm happy to finish line. I have so much luck to do not a big mistake, because Zolder it's a track terrible dangerous. So I'm happy to finish both race. And my teammate, I think this battle was not interesting for championships. So when I see he want battle, me I give battle. So what happened when touch in curve, and it's too hard to, well, with rain it's very difficult. So I'm sorry for Luke, but I think it's not my fault. So what happened, I don't know.
Well, it's another crucial 2 wins for you, Red One. It puts you now in a really strong position. It may even have just decided the championship. We have to wait on bonus points for that to all be tallied up. But, you know, you put together this season. It's your 3rd back-to-back race victories that you've had. Surely you have to be so proud of the achievement that not only you've had, but the team has had so far, taking 8 out of 8 wins.
Yes, I don't understand all you talk to me, but I'm sorry for my teammate. I don't really want this, but it's the race, so under the rain it's too dangerous.
Well, let's just talk about then Spa-Francorchamps in what is 1 week from now, I should say. How are you feeling going into that? It's going to be about high speed. It's going to be a very aggressive race, I think, but maybe one which you have a lot of margin to just consolidate or hold on to positions in the championship. You've got a really big advantage.
Yes. If I don't have penalties for my overtake, I take a lot of points of. So I'm really happy to finish line in Zolder first race and second race.
Well, the floor is yours, Red One. Shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank.
I have a channel in YouTube. My name is Redouane Messaoud, and I congratulate my victory for the team H3 Racing, H3 Racing. So it's cool.
Well, there is Red One Messaoud, race victory overall. Let's get some fallout, though, with the driver who found himself on the other end of that one. That's Luke Whitehead, stood by with Kieran McGinley.
Yes, absolutely. Luke, I mean, let's start with the positives first. I mean, it was a podium for you in that first race, but then it came towards the second race, which is where the talking point really starts. I mean, take us through your point of view at the Klein chicane there.
Well, so obviously, as I said, got a really good start. I was really happy with that. And then midway through the race, my brake pedal started sticking on, which is never ideal. So every time I was going down a straight, Red One just had the legs on me. And going into that chicane, you know, that's a one-line corner, and I kind of misjudged a little bit. I'll be honest, I'll put my hands up. You know, we both went in trying to go for the same line. It's never going to work. I think both of us could have given a little bit more margin, but I think I'll happily take the blame more to my side. And then, of course, you know, further on the race, I got through to about 4th, and then I realised that my brake was sticking on because everyone just drove past me like I wasn't there. So yeah, really gutted, to be honest. Gutted is an understatement. You know, after the start, after the move, and you know, the pace wasn't awful. I mean, you know, through my testing, I've kind of struggled this week, and I was kind of going into it with the damage limitation mentality. That hasn't happened. We've Red One taking both wins and me finishing 6th in race 2. But yeah, no, happy with everything that happened, and just yeah, it is what it is. It happens, and especially when it's wet, you know, this stuff happens.
Well, let's bring it to your team then, because it's fair to say that Ashtois have been absolutely dominating. There's no team's championship, but I think if there was, you'd have won it about 3 races ago. Just how good is it to be part of such a successful team?
Oh, it's massive. It's a massive privilege for me. I'm honoured to be a part of Ashtois and H3. You know, depends on where you're from. Yeah, I'm just really happy. It's been a massive learning curve. Obviously, I only joined at round 2. So it's been a massive learning curve, a massive help to me, and I can only imagine where it's going to go from here. This is only really the start. There's a lot of races coming up which I'll hopefully be a part of, and again, racing alongside Red One and all of his other teammates is a pleasure. It really is a pleasure. So yeah, we'll see where it all goes.
Absolutely. And obviously, let's say that after the bonus points are added up, we won't know yet for sure. But let's talk about next week. Spa-Francorchamps, a legendary track. How do you reckon it's going to treat you? Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Spa is quite, it is quite suited to racing in GT cars, in real life and in the sim. So I think the race for the spectators will be great. And I think even for the race, for us guys driving, it'll be even better. The track's awesome. It's really good fun. There's not much margin for error. So I'm very excited. Obviously, as I say, the pressure's kind of off because I've almost, there's pretty much no chance of me getting the championship now, which is a shame. But the good thing is I can kind of go in with less pressure on my shoulders to kind of go, right, this is what I can do. And going into any next seasons, if there is another one, then hopefully I can carry the momentum into that.
Well, thank you, Luke. I mean, now the floor is yours for any sponsors, shout-outs, and anyone you'd like to mention.
Okay, so obviously the first one is thank you to Red One and Hashtoa Racing and everyone part of that establishment. It's been a massive pleasure to be working with you guys so far, and hopefully it will continue for quite a while. Also, apologies for Red One for the collision. Thank you to OBP Esports once again for their pedals. A little teething problem, but I think that's more of what we've done to set it up. I think that's more of an issue we've created. But thanks to Dad as well, who, funny enough, was pushing my pedal down the straights to make sure it didn't stick on. So thanks to him, he went through a lot of knee pain and back pain endured there, which was very helpful for me. And yeah, just well done to Alex, Red One, obviously, and Marcus for getting the podium this weekend.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us, Luke, and hopefully we will see you next week. Jake, there's plenty of drivers to choose from, but who have you got there?
Before we do, I do actually have some breaking news that's coming in, and that is that Luke Whitehead has been handed down a 5-second time penalty added on to the end of his race result as a cause of that incident between himself and Red One Messaoud. So 5 extra seconds handed down means that he will drop probably an extra 1 or 2 positions in that race. So we'll keep that updated and we'll see how the points all line up come the end. Who I have found, though, is Marcus Littlewood, who came home with a wonderful result, P2, in that second race. And, well, Marcus, that was a race where I think everyone was trying to adjust between race 1 and race 2, and really one which had everything up in the air with about 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, bit of a tricky race, to be honest. It would start off good on the tyres, fine with tyre wear, and then literally 2 laps in, we would overheat, which meant it was really hard to slow the cars down, so apologies to anyone, because I outbroke myself. Yeah, so I'm a bit disappointed in that sense, but happy for the team, happy for Alex, happy for Nat. To bring home a great result for Team Omega E Racing Team.
Well, a big result for you, and let's just talk about your season as a whole, because really for you, it's been a case of stop and start, nothing in the first round or the third round, 30 points in the second round, and then today, I think, is the best round that you've had all season. What's been really for you, Marcus, the cause of that inconsistency this season?
So the first round I didn't do because I didn't have a spot, but it's kind of a wild card coming into Kailami. Literally 2 hours before the race, jumped in the seat, got a few solid results there, and then got a bit unlucky at Misano. 0 points there, which wasn't great, but Zolder I had quite a bit of practice. We practiced a lot with the team, practiced a lot with all my friends, and I think that was the main thing that helped.
Well, with that then being put in mind, let's focus then to Spa-Francorchamps a week from now. A very quick circuit, probably going to be a car change as well. How do you feel that's going to maybe find itself into play? How do you feel that you're going to be moving on forward and feeling quite maybe comfortable coming out of Zolder with a good result?
Yeah, I feel really happy coming out of this race with a good result. Hopefully that's a bit of a booster for the next round. I haven't done a lot around Spa, so it'll be good to get some testing in there. So I'll do a bit of testing there and, yeah, hope for the best.
Well, hope for the best indeed for you. Marcus Littlewood then coming off with second position overall. Kieran, I believe you've managed to get a chance to talk with Alex Johnston.
I have indeed, and Alex, it's great to have you in the interviews afterwards. I mean, first podium for you and a fourth place. That's a really good result for you. I mean, talk us through that Zolder race for you, because it looked a bit intense, that second race especially.
Yeah, the second race it really planned out for us. The start of the race, our tyres were looking good. We had a decent start, but then about 2 laps in, same as Marcus, our tyres just overheated. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that. Most of us went too hard on the pressures. However, I just sat where I am and just let it all unfold in front of me.
Yeah, and let's talk about that incident between the two Astral racing cars, because it really did spice up that battle for what became the lead and then for second place. I mean, how did you keep yourself so composed in that battle? Because it looked like there was a lot of elbows flying out there.
There was. It's just, in those situations, just to keep a calm head and just look for the best place to put the car to get the most positions. Don't crash into anyone, keep your nose clean, and get away with a good gap.
And that, of course, a podium is now, I believe, your best result of the season. So how are you feeling about that one?
It's great. We had a good day today at Zolder. Race 1, like you said, we came 4th, and here in race 2 we came 3rd. But no, yeah, really good for the Pro Series and the Championship.
Absolutely. And when we head to Spa next week, obviously it's a very historic track, a lot of history behind it. I mean, how do you think it's going to treat you? Are you looking forward to it?
We are looking forward to it. As a team, we'll be doing a casual race at Spa in preparation on Tuesday. To get a good setup, a good race setup in the head for the final round of the championship. So yeah, it's a good track, much longer. You're looking at 2-minute 20 lap times around there. So yeah, a challenge.
And Alex, the floor is yours then for any shout-out sponsors and anyone you'd like to mention.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the team, Omega E Racing. Me and myself, Marcus and Nat, we joined them recently. And they've been treating us like gold. Thanks to my parents and well done to everyone, I guess.
Well, thank you very much, Alex. We look forward to seeing you at Spa next week. And with that, Jake, that's back to you.
It certainly is, and we are very much in this state of limbo right now. We do not know what the championship situation is. I think, and this is provisional because results are unofficial, and my mental maths, of course, you never trust a commentator when it comes to maths. I think Redouan Messaoud may be over the line, but it's going to be incredibly close and dependent on a couple of bonus points here and there. See how that goes. Of course, we will update you next week at Spa-Francorchamps in 1 week's time to see whether the championship is alive or if the championship is all over at this stage. But of course, the only place you can do that is with us at World Pro Racing. And you can like, share, and subscribe right now to World Pro Racing. Get yourself all up together with things that are happening here with us. You can also go to worldproracing.com/events. And if you get yourself to there, you have the opportunity to race on a multiple level of platforms. There's Seto Corsa content, Gran Turismo content. There's some Project Cars 2, not Project Cars 2, R-Factor 2 content that is there available in the mix. But I'm sure that everyone who is there looking to race, if you are brand new to sim racing or if you are looking to try and get yourself up to the next level, World Pro Racing is going to be there for you. Massive work is coming into the mix. I know there's an endurance coming soon on that front, but of course we've also been live on YouTube, Facebook Live, and on Twitch as well as ESTV, the Esports Television Network, The Race, Motorsport.tv, and TVM Sport as well. Massive thanks to everyone who's worked hard behind the scenes. Of course, the stewarding team of Adrian Macheca and of course, Adrian Fagayo as well. They've been the stewards here today. You've had Justin and Nathan Mifsud working cameras, of course, with Kieran McGinley there on my left-hand side and myself, Jake Sperry. But Spa-Francorchamps is 1 week away. Redouan Messaoud has it almost all perfectly sorted out. We are so very nearly there at the end. But the greatest all-round track that the world has ever created now hosts itself with World Pro Racing. How will this one all come to a conclusion? The only place you can check out is with us. We'll see you in 1 week's time for the conclusion of your Assetto Corsa Competizione Sprint Series presented by World Pro Racing.
This stream is powered by Melita, using Melita Gigapower Internet. World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
For only €5 a month, experience every high-definition moment on your TV, tablet, phone or PC. Great teams, great moments, and so much more. TSN from Melita is your ticket to stay in the game. Visit melita.com/sports.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
Wish your Wi-Fi network would just work in any room? Our new Stellar Wi-Fi is AI assisted to give you the smoothest, fastest possible Wi-Fi throughout your home. Stellar Wi-Fi, assisted by AI, exclusive to Melita. Find out more in-store or online.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.